all goes down. Heard it, no pity where you at, and your dad don't know that you're so well lost and found. She don't want love, she don't love no one.
What's up, y'all? I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be watching some more scary stories. I just wanted to continue it. We already were watching a couple last video, but this video, we're going to be watching a little more today.
She decided to let someone else have the turn. We were waiting for her, and then we
Hold
heard
on one
a
sec.
loud, sharp scream.
There we go.
Shortly, that girl ran into the locker room and cried. We were all confused, and she told us that she saw something. A baby, covered in blood. I went to the gym. The keys were on the floor. The gym door was opened, and I tried to turn on the lights, but they were completely off. I wasn't sure, but thought maybe, somehow it was due to the thunderstorm. I couldn't see anything because it was too dark. And when I stepped inside the gym, I heard crying. It was a baby crying, and it was coming from the stage.
Don't look.
I was
Don't
frozen,
look.
but I wanted to check what was going on here.
It's a thunderstorm, and you hear a baby crying. I think their mother would not do that, but okay. Okay, go check.
By a crack noise. Then I heard crying from another girl. She was sobbing. All of a sudden, the lights were on. My teacher grabbed me and asked if I was okay. I told her that I heard something but didn't see anything. She looked at me calmly and said, "I know what you're talking about. You're lucky that you didn't see anything." Then she said when she was working late one day, she saw a body floating in the swimming pool which is close to the gym. She thought it was one of the students, so she tried to save that person.
Yeah.
When I tried to get to her, it was completely gone, she said. And then she told me there was the ghost of the girl who drowned a few years back. This girl was pregnant, and she gave birth in the shower booth. She didn't want it, so she killed the baby by breaking its neck. Later on, she regretted what she did, so she drowned herself in the swimming pool. When I heard the whole story from my teacher, I felt a little bit sad. After that, I didn't see or hear anything, but I'm still wondering what was the shadow I saw in the locker room. And sometimes it still gives me goosebumps when I think about it, especially the crying of the baby and the bone cracking noise. If the gym teacher did not come along, would I have seen that ghost of a girl holding the baby?
Creepy.
Well, other than that, I just feel grateful that I didn't see anything that would shock me for my whole life.
Yes, if I seen something like that, it would shock me for my whole life too. I met the most horrible guy on the road.
So before getting into the story itself, I want to give some backstory on something that happened when I was around the age of 9. I grew up in a village called Hotlax in the northern parts of Sweden. The road leading from my school to my home was a long one, where the local authorities had to put up lamps which emitted a very dim blue light. I always felt like a nervous wreck when I had to walk to and from my school. Both because, even with the lamps, the road was very dark, and also because I was bullied, so the bullies could have waited in the woods, right next to the road. It was one event that I remembered vividly during the winter of 1999. I'd slept poorly the night before, and the math lesson had been killing me, so I barely felt awake when I was beginning to walk home. The lamps were off, which isn't really so weird, as the sensors for the lamps were pretty low, so any kid could have taken a flashlight, put it towards the sensors, and after a few seconds, the lamps would shut down for a few minutes. Since I was so tired, I'd closed my eyes when I started walking, but after walking about 20 meters on this road, I opened my eyes and noticed that the lamps were off, and I stopped. I was getting nervous. I was reasoning with myself and decided to push on. I was 10, and in my youthful arrogance,
I'm
I thought
10.
I'd reached the age where my balls should have been as hard as Duke Nukem's.
Yeah.
Portlex is a very quiet village, so I was barely hearing anything except the wind when this happened. To the left of the road is
I'm
a
a
very
big
thick
kid
forest,
now.
and suddenly I could just hear this loud scream coming from it. It was very similar to the male scream you can hear in movies when someone's in huge pain. With the speed of Usain Bolt,
Nope,
I ran as fast
I'm
as I
gone.
could towards my home without looking back. Now we're jumping to late autumn 2011. My parents were on a trip to the Canary Islands and asked me to move into their house just for the week so I could take care of the dog. And the thought of spending a whole week in my old room listening to my old Mayhem CDs and eating pizza were just too good to be true. I always walked with my dog outside during midnight because then I didn't have to take him outside again until the late morning hours. This time was no different, except I decided to walk a bit longer. I decided to walk along Oxelvägen and then follow Inimagsvägen towards Nova Hotlagsvägen. There are no lamps on the most parts of Inimagsvägen, so after leaving Oxelvägen, I stopped. I lit a cigar and told my dog to stay close to me.
You smoke?
While walking along the road, I was just enjoying the fresh air and listening to the sound of leaves rustling in the trees. There's a pretty big area next to the road where they have chopped down a lot of trees. When I came to that area, my dog stopped and started barking towards the area I described. When I looked towards the area, I could see the silhouette of a person. The only visible parts were the hands. I said, "What the hell," with a pretty loud voice. The person turned around towards me. If I didn't know any better, I could have sworn that only the head and hands turned, as I didn't see any movements at all on the rest of the body. A white mask. The guy was wearing a white mask with a slit for each of his eyes. My dog started whimpering. The guy raised his right hand, with all of his fingers pointing towards me, and he screamed. It sounded like the exact same scream I had heard as a kid walking home from school that afternoon. What must have been survival instinct, I just started running.
What about the dog? Did you take him too?
When I had ran for 20 meters or so, I stopped to see if my dog was still with me, which he was, and then looked towards the spot the guy had stood. He wasn't there. He had moved to the spot where I stood, now with his hands down, but the mask still towards me. I started running again until I got to Nova Hotlagsvägen. I'd never been so scared before. When I stopped, I was crying and my whole body was shaking. And then I walked home.
This happened when I was in my junior year of high school.
Nice.
I was picked as a candidate for a beauty contest, but I didn't know how to sing or do something out of the ordinary. So I decided to dance with two of my friends from class.
Dancing?
We planned it in class and agreed to rehearse our choreography immediately. There was an empty house in front of my house that had a caretaker. My mom and the caretaker were friends, so I asked her if I could use one of their empty rooms to rehearse our dance. She agreed, but told us that the electricity doesn't work, so it was best to practice during the daytime.
Okay, I'll watch it.
The house was pretty big. It was 3 stories tall with a rooftop. However, this house was unfinished. After class, we all gathered in front of the house. It was around 4 p.m. I brought my laptop to play music, and we practiced for a while, and finally, memorized it. Then I suggested that we should record our dance using my laptop's camera to see if we were making any mistakes or weren't synchronized. We were having fun with each other while dancing, and we even took pictures. After that, while taking a break, we played our dance video. It was good at first. However, in the middle of us dancing, there was a woman's awful screaming in the background, like someone was being murdered. The same continuous scream was going on and on while it was recording. It was already getting dark outside, and we were in shock that we couldn't even move our bodies at all. We knew that we were the only ones in the room. And of course, we would have stopped our practice if there was someone else there. And furthermore, we did not remember hearing anyone scream continuously. Shaking my hands with fear, I decided to rewind the video and play it again. The same screaming was in the video, but for some reason, this time her voice was much higher and very sharp. I've never heard that kind of horrific voice in my whole life. We then turned off my laptop, screamed, and ran outside of the house. When we got home, we explained it to my mom,
Oh, that's
but
just
she
a painting.
thought
Never
we
mind.
were being paranoid at first. But when I played the video, she was creeped out too. Mom didn't say anything, but forced me to delete the video.
Delete that
Ever
video
since
and
then,
you'll live.
we never
Okay.
rehearsed there anymore. And every time I look outside my window, I am scared that I might see the lady behind those screams.
My name is Christian. This happened 3 years ago, and I was living in a dormitory with my best friend, Miko. I was a civil engineering student at that time, and Miko was a pharmacy student. The dormitory where we were staying had 9 rooms overall. Our room was quite small, but enough space for 2 people. The kitchen was at the opposite end of the entrance door, and we had no fire exit. The restroom was just at the left side of the kitchen, and the bed that we even shared together was on the right side. And there was a table in the middle where we used to eat or make it as a study table. Our dormitory had rumors about ghosts in there, but we hadn't encountered any in our 2 years stay. So one day on Friday morning, before going to school, we decided to put a hot cup of coffee in the sink. I know that was such a stupid thing, but we were curious about it. If this became empty when we came back from the school, then this is a haunted dormitory, I told him. Then we left for school, and soon I forgot about the coffee thing because I was quite busy with the calculus examination. After that, when I came back to the dorm, around 7 p.m., I saw Miko was sleeping in his bed. It was quite
I've seen
weird
this series
since
story,
usually
and
when I
that's
come
not
back
Miko.
to the room, he was either playing games or cooking in the kitchen. But it didn't bother me since it was a midterm season, and I thought that he might just be exhausted. Suddenly, I remembered the mug of coffee that we put in the sink earlier in the morning. I put my bag on the table and headed straight to the sink. I saw the coffee was still full, so I said, "Told you, there's no ghost." So I poured out the hot coffee and washed the cup. Right after I washed the cup, my phone inside my pocket vibrated. Someone was calling me. I looked at the phone, and it was Miko. I stared at the bed where
Why
Miko
is
was
the
still
coffee
lying
hot
and
though?
sleeping.
If he's been
I
there all
shouted,
day.
"Hey man, why are you calling me?" But he didn't respond. So I thought inside my head, did he leave his phone at school? I answered the call. "Hello?" To my shock and disbelief, it was Miko. It was his voice.
Told you.
And he said, "Dude,
Told
just eat
you.
without me if you're already hungry. I'm still at the mall buying our food supply for next week." I was frozen. I was so confused and terrified at the time until I got the courage to say, "Are you serious?" He said, "Yeah, sorry, but I'm almost done at the counter. I'm just going to drive home now. If you can wait, let's eat together. Bye," and hung up. I was there standing still in the kitchen and couldn't move while still looking at the man in the bed. Then I realized the cup of coffee. We left it in the morning. When I went to the dorm, it was not empty as we expected, but it was still hot.
See?
It should have cooled down. I looked back at the sink for 1 second, and to my terror, when I looked again at the bed, he was no longer there. I screamed, ran out of the room, and waited for my best friend. When Miko was finally home after 40 minutes, I told him what happened and saw his confused, scared reaction.
It's a little creepy.
After that night, we decided to transfer to another dormitory, and fortunately, nothing happened anymore in the new place.
That's nice.
But I will never forget this memory. Forever.
The book. Okay, that's the end of my video. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe and like, or else whatever that thing was will be in your room tomorrow. Bye-bye.